And this time on the Mortgage and Protection Podcast, we are continuing the conversation on mortgages for doctors with Paul from Brick to Brick Mortgage Solutions. Welcome back, Paul. Should we see what else we have here?
Yes, let's do it. Yeah, good to speak to you again, and let's crack on.
Yes, you too as well. Okay, let's see what else we have here then. So people would also like to know, we've got two questions combined here, Paul, so bear with me. Why is being on the electoral roll important when applying for a mortgage as a doctor? Why is it important for a doctor to ensure their address history is correct when or before applying for a mortgage? That was a mouthful.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, so I think being on electoral roll is important because when lenders do a credit search, they do also check the electoral roll for certain information of a client or a person, an individual.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that when they're checking things like your full name, your date of birth, and your address history, it's a good thing to go on there because it just adds to the other things that lenders do check.
Hmm.
On the address history side of things, yeah, it is important that you ensure your address history is correct. The reason is it just shows where someone has been living at any given time, which is obviously a vital part of any mortgage application. It all needs to match up. So when you change your any credit cards or loans or any utilities, just make sure it's all changed over because a very common thing is
Hmm.
you keep a utility at a previous address and sometimes a mispayment goes on that because it gets lost. So yeah, just ensure everything's changed over and everything will be okay.
Okay, so that's a really important key point there, isn't it? And I think we touched on moving house and all of that in our part one episode as well, didn't we? So
Yes,
hopefully
yeah,
that
indeed.
covers it. Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on then, people would like to know, how can a credit profile linked to others affect a doctor's mortgage application?
If you were previously on a joint on a mortgage or any other credit agreement, you may have had a joint council tax or joint utilities with a person that had a bad credit on their file. They may have had defaults, mispayments, or anything worse.
Mm.
Obviously, then because you have a financial association with that person, that can then lead to you being rejected potentially if you're still linked to them on that file.
Mm.
If you've moved on somewhere new and you're not with that person anymore or not, you need to make sure that you take everything away
Mm.
from that so that you're just on it solely to build your credit file back up again.
Mm. Okay, yes. So that is something to be aware of then if that applies to you, if you're listening to this and that applies to you in any way. Right. Okay, let's continue on. The next question here asks, what are the visa requirements a doctor needs to consider when applying for a mortgage?
Most lenders need you to have been here for a while. Some lenders are okay with if you've been here 2 years. I have a couple now that are okay if you've been in the UK for 1 year.
Right.
Some lenders do look more favourable on certain things. Some are better if you have a better loan to value or a higher income amount. Sometimes is a bonus. So
Mm.
certain things may sway the options available to become more favourable, I guess, with other lenders.
Yeah.
So what we need to look at is a whole scenario, and we'll look at everything as a whole from your situation, and then you may be surprised what you can get.
Hmm. Oh, right. Okay. So hopefully that sounds reassuring there again, if that applies to you. Okay. So moving on then, let's look at this question. How can a doctor prove their financial health when applying for a mortgage?
What you need to do, I mean, we would look at your full credit reports. You can look at it first, by all means. Have a look. Make sure your history is up to date and there's no missed or late payments or anything. But we would have a look at it for you and just give you advice and let you know how likely things would be for you to obtain a mortgage.
Mm. Right. Okay. So that explains that one. Now, what options do doctors have when exploring their mortgage options? We've probably touched on this a little bit, haven't we? And in our part one episode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they've got specialized. They have specialized mortgage options. They're not with standard lenders who will take into account certain complex incomes and possible lending up to 6 or 7 times at present. So
Mm.
yeah, because obviously a lot of lenders do see the future earning potential of doctors that may have just started out on a training contract
Mm.
or something like that. So yeah, there are specialist lenders that can see that future and possibly lend up to, well, at the moment, 7 times income.
Right, okay, yes, that's brilliant. And yes, that is at the time of recording this episode in early to mid May 2026. Right, moving on to this question. Can I get a buy to let mortgage as a doctor? So, any differences here?
Yes, you can get a buy to let. It's the same as a standard employment, really. You can get a buy to let mortgage. You generally have to have 20 or 25% deposit for that. But yes, the answer is yes on that.
Mm. So, good news then if you are looking into a buy to let property. Now, we get this question quite a lot, don't we, Paul? But in this case, what if I have bad credit? Can I still get a mortgage as a doctor?
Yeah, I mean, this is sometimes fine. It just depends on how bad it is, really. We would need to check the full report to see the level that it is, to be able to ascertain what is achievable for you. There may be some minor things on there that may be okay with certain lenders, but
Hmm.
let's have a look at it and then give you advice from there.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you for that. And again, hopefully that sounds reassuring. We covered sort of student debt and things like that, didn't we, Paul, in our part one episode? So that ties in there.
Yes.
Mm. Okay. So, Paul, then, what advice and guidance do you have for doctors who are saving for a house, buying their first home, and looking for a mortgage?
Just as you mentioned, really, just keep your credit profile looking as healthy as it can.
Mm.
The more you save, then the less risk for the lender. So it'd be a lower rate of interest. Obviously, you've got a higher deposit. So a higher deposit means you normally get a better interest rate. At the very start, though, at the very beginning, before you even start saving, just reach out to us and we can guide you in the right direction and just give you an aim and a goal in mind to achieve, basically.
Hmm. Yes, okay. Well, thank you for that. You've demonstrated, of course, there how a mortgage broker can help. Have you got any final thoughts, Paul, or do you think we've covered all that we can for now across our part one and part two episodes?
I think we've covered quite a bit there. I'm
Hmm.
sure that if anyone thinks of anything at all, just reach out to us and we'll see how we can help. If something's not covered or anyone wants to know anything, just give us a shout and thanks for listening.
Mm. Yes, okay, there we go. Thank you ever so much for that, Paul. Hopefully, that has proved useful across our part one and part two episodes, and I'm sure we'll speak to you again on the podcast very soon.
Yeah, no problem at all, Tess. I look forward to it. Speak to you soon.
Please note, your home may be repossessed if you do not keep up with your mortgage repayments. The Financial Conduct Authority does not regulate most buy to let mortgages.